Good morning, Connect Groups, and happy Valentine's Day. We're in John's Gospel, chapter 1, verse 35 through chapter 2, verse 12. And we're looking at a relational evangelism, which simply means sharing the good news of Jesus Christ through our existing relationships. And that's kind of should be seen in contrast to sharing the good news of Jesus through invitations to church or an invitation to some kind of event. What Jesus shows us as he begins the ministry of his preaching and demonstrating the good news is he just starts with people. It's about the relationships. And the first that he encounters a few guys following him, a few guys who were seeking, and he turns around and simply says, What are you seeking? What are you interested in? What do you want? And they said, we want to know where you're staying. And he said, come on in, I'll show you. And they come over to this place where Jesus is staying, and they hang out for that day. The scriptures say they stayed that day. I wonder what that would look like for me. Could I invite someone into my time, into my space? Would I feel comfortable? Could I accommodate that? Or is my life so tight in margins and so clustered? Or maybe think of it this way, even if it is tight, is there a kind of grace available that I could say, well, come anyway. Come in. Let's drive together in my car. I have a meeting, but you can come along. We're going to have supper at the house, but there's always room for one more. How comfortable am I in that? How comfortable am I to kind of create space in my mind and my heart? And I'd love for you to think about that as well. How comfortable are you? Would you share that one with another? What are the obstacles? What are the opportunities? Maybe have some examples or stories we could share of when we have done this well and maybe when we've not done it so well. And then secondly, Jesus, as he hangs out with this crowd, obviously has an impact. And as Christians, we do. We have influence, whether we're fully understanding that or aware of it, it's actually happening. We are, by our very nature, salt and light. We're putting forward an impact on the world and the people around us. So with that being said, Andrew is one of those two guys who's hanging out with Jesus. He immediately finds his brother Simon and says, hey, I found the Messiah. I found the one we've been looking for. Now, something that is different in our day and age is that the first century Jewish community shared a basic expectation of the promised Messiah. The anointed one would come, someone to save them and rescue them and deliver them. We now live in a pluralistic society. People have a lot of different views of the world, so we don't share that common kind of national identity. So we have some further obstacles to overcome. But nonetheless, within our family, there may be someone that is close enough to us where we could go to them and say, you know what just happened? I found life in Jesus. I found the person that I've been looking for all along. Perhaps you've had that encounter. You've shared the gospel with a family member. Would you kind of share that experience one with another? Or perhaps you haven't. Maybe there's a hesitation or a challenge in front of you. Would you also share that? Because before we leave, we want to pray for you. And we want to pray for your family members by name. And thirdly, Jesus, continues his example setting by really just seeing the ripple effect. But before he meets Nathanael, it's Philip who goes to Nathanael. So Philip gets word of what's going on, and he says, I want to tell my friend. We don't know if it's his friend for sure, but it's an associate, it's someone he knows, and he says, I want to tell you I found this guy that we've been expecting. And we know that Nathaniel's a little skeptical, and he's maybe a little cynical and kind of like, really? Can anything good come out of Nazareth? Well, with that being said, Philip doesn't have to convince him. He just says, why don't you come and see for yourself? So we see relational evangelism moving from family now towards friend and associate. And then lastly, into a social space of a wedding where you're going to have a mixture of family and friends and guests and people you know and don't know. And there Jesus is called upon to serve He's given opportunity for his mother to serve the people there well. So I guess the last point would be to kind of think about friends, or think about associates, business associates, colleagues. Think about people in a mixed space. How comfortable are we telling those folks that we believe in Jesus? How comfortable are we? Not saying we go to church, not saying we're religious, but identifying personally with Jesus Christ. And if called upon to serve or speak or demonstrate the gospel in some way in a public or a social gathering, how comfortable are we with that? What if someone says, hey, I know you are a follower of Jesus. What do you think on this issue? Are we prepared? Are we confident to step forward? What if someone says, hey, you're a Christian, aren't you? Why don't you pray for this person? They're sick. Would we be able to just stretch in that direction and move? So take a moment and share, I guess our general thing would be our level of comfort, our level of awareness on our time, the space in our lives, and then of those relationships that we have, family, friends, in those mixed social spaces. How comfortable are we being identified as a Christian and speaking about Jesus in that space? What are the challenges we're facing in that? What are the victories or things that we can celebrate in that? And then would you, again, close by praying one for another that we'll grow in our assurance that Jesus is with us, that this is exactly the kind of environments of relationship that he wants to express himself. And if anyone we encounter is a doubter or a naysayer or kind of like a Nathaniel, we don't have to even prove that we're right or get into an argument or feel embarrassed or ashamed. We can say, well, why don't you just come and see for yourself? And perhaps that is the invitation to come to a connect group or come to a Christian gathering or church worship service, so that someone in the midst of God's people can identify with Jesus as we worship him, and his Spirit will come and they'll say, wow, there is something here. And we say, yeah, that something is a someone. His name is Jesus. And so we're going to allow Jesus to actually introduce himself. Our words can be more like, come and see for yourself. Have a great dialogue. Praise God for you. So excited that you're gathering consistently, and really looking forward to more connection with our friends and family, more coming to see what's going on within your connect group or within your own home, and look forward to hearing awesome reports about what God's going to do in shaping and transforming lives, saving people. It's going to be wonderful. Have a great time.